at the awards.
This is what people aren't picking up on, I think, in the press, and people need to focus on about films this year. Look at who's made them, and look at what the stories are. We know, without even being patriotic, we know they're the best films out there. So, and look at how different Monsieur Lazare is from Café de Flore, and how different those are from A Dangerous Method, and how different those are from Whistleblower. And we're in a year where we're talking about the directors and the writers. We're talking about the auteurs of Canadian cinema. That's amazing. Like, that's amazing. Any one of the films nominated for Best Foreign Language of the French films could have easily been nominated for the Academy Award for Foreign Language Film. We have dynamite work in this country. And it's all happening at the same time. I think that's spectacular.
Yeah, I think we were really current this year, especially with the Genie Awards, as to what's coming out and what's really hot and exciting. So yeah, I'm really pleased about it. Thank you.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
Good show tonight.
Thank you. I'm the chair of the Academy of Canadian Cinema and Television and also the producer of A Dangerous Method.
I have seen a phenomenal increase in the change of the Genies this year, and I'm pretty excited about that. Can you tell me a little bit about those changes?
Sure. The first thing we did when I came to the Academy was to change the qualifying period so that we could actually nominate and vote for movies that are still in theaters while the Genies are on. Seems like an obvious thing, but it was something we somehow managed not to be able to get on top of in the past. And I think that's lent an enormous amount of energy to the event, because so many of the movies that are on now are actually being nominated and voted on. And
you can go see them in the theater.
You can see them in the theater, or they're coming out very soon for home video, and that's great news. So we brought them into the 21st century in a way. We have online voting only for our members, so our votes go directly to Pricewaterhouse when we vote online. All our members can stream movies online while they're voting for them, so electronically we're actually further ahead than the American Academy or the British Academy or the Australian Academy, so I'm excited about that too. But also we put a real push on just bringing the glam back, and I think we see it tonight.
And we're spoilt for choice this year with films, aren't we?
Well, that's the other thing. The field is so stunning, you know, to have you know, Café de Flore and Monsieur Lazare and Whistleblower and our little movie, A Dangerous Method.
Little.
And Starbuck and, you know, Bang Bang Club. I mean, it just is phenomenal number of great films this year.
You were in a great Canadian film called Your Dolly Parton Was My Mom.
Yes, I was.
And I want to know what makes a great Canadian film.
Well, it's a great film that just happens to be Canadian.
There you go. There you go. And are you looking forward to tonight's event?
I am very much. I hope it's a great, entertaining evening and all my friends win.
Well, Goon has done so well in Canada, which is exciting because, you know, quite often a film can do great in America but not in Canada. What do you think the recipe for that is?
It's a really good film.
It really is, isn't it?
It's a really good film. It's very funny. It's violent. It's funny. It's a love story, and it looks like a major motion picture to me. I thought it was shot beautifully. Bobby did such an incredible job. The editing, Michael Dowse, the director, Jay Baruchel, I'm so happy for him. It took him 8 years to see it come to fruition, and it's just a really good film.
I don't like hockey. I love this movie.
Did you like it?
Absolutely. I don't know anything about hockey. I love this
Sorry
movie.
about all the swearing.
Oh, that's okay. I could cope with that. I do live in Canada, but I
You've
could
heard
go.
it all
Yeah.
before.
So I saw Edwin Boyd and I loved it. And I wanted to know a couple of things. First of all, you won an award at TIFF. Can you tell the audience what you won?
It was the TIFF Award for Best First Canadian Feature.
Right, and this is your first film, feature film, which is outrageous because it is awesome. I love the Black Keys with the gangsta scenes. That was so, and the Chaplin makeup. Anyway, we're super pumped about it at Press Plus One.
Awesome.
And I wanted to know. The film is a lot about our Canadian heritage that we knew nothing about. So tell me about bringing that forward to go on camera.
Well, I had the good fortune of getting to know Eddie Boyd many years ago while I was in university. And he and I developed a long phone relationship. And then I finally went out to visit him in Vancouver Island. And then Alice and I both got to know Eddie's daughter, Carolyn. And we learned a lot, of course, from them. And it's a very personal story for us because we felt this responsibility to tell the story right and truthfully. So that was a long time ago, that process. And in terms of getting it financed, as we all know, it's challenging. That's a question.
Was that a very challenging? I mean, this is a Canadian film. This is like 100%. This is our story. Was it very challenging still because it's a first-time feature director?
Well, certainly the challenge was in getting a film made of this scope, you know, period film, and of this certain budget level and with this big a cast with a first-time director. But Nathan had a very, very strong vision, showed it to everyone in a gorgeous vision book, and really, I mean, and I think Nathan's relationship with the actors really pulled it all together. So, yeah, the financing was a challenge, but the support of Telefilm Canada and the OMDC, the Northern Fund, E1 has been fantastic, and they believed in the film that we told them we'd be able to make, and I think everyone's happy with it. So we just hope the audience is too.
I'm going to give you a little breaking news. I gave 2 films 5 stars of Canadian films this year, and yours was one of them. So thank you. It was fantastic. Thank you. Best of luck. Thank you.
I think we're at that stage, as a guy has to interview a lot of filmmakers on the show, and a lot of them being Canadian, we're in that era where, as much as we want Canadian films to make money, and we do, we are still in an era where good ideas get financed. So, and when people talk about Canadian films, they talk about, in a lot of ways, the director. We're kind of in the era of the auteur in this country, and we need to pay attention to that. You know, we know what Cronenberg means, we know what Fargo means, Jean-Marc Vallée, we know what they mean, we know what Sarah Polley means. That counts. And Canadians historically do kind of a terrible job of standing up for each other. And, you know, I don't make the films, but I have no problem going on stage and telling people, these are incredible. They're incredible. And if you watch the films, I watched all the ones nominated. You watch them, there's no country that has this kind of output. And sure, you know, there's, you know, how do you get eyeballs? That's a completely different conversation for sure. But it's great. We have the great auteurs in this country, and they're making the films. And that's why we kind of put that line on the air about, you know, Vigo and Rachel and Fassbender. Big international actors want to work in our films. Yeah. That's significant. Because we applauded when the Americans cast us, when the British cast us. It's something to be noted when they want to work with our artists. Long time. I kind of think the Canadian film business is where the Canadian music business was 20 years ago. When I started working in radio, people didn't give Canadian music credit. They made fun of Canadian artists all the time, with the exception of Rush and the Tragically Hip. Right. You know, and if you got really lucky, you were talking about the Sam Peters or Anne Murray. Yeah. But people didn't really celebrate the Canadian music business. But a couple of artists got on the radio, and suddenly here we are 20 years later, because kids who are 13 in 1991 heard the Gandharvas on the radio and said, oh, maybe I can tell the stories. We're at that place with the Canadian film business now, where you have this real foundation being poured, and it's wide. And the stories are inspiring. Anybody who watches Monsieur Lazare, anybody who watches Cafe Before, Whistleblower, everybody who watches that feels something. One of those kids is going to make a film. And in 15 years, that film's going to not win just Best Foreign Language Film. That film's going to win Best Oscar. It's going to win the Genie. It's going to win the BAFTA, like in an international category. And that's going to happen, I think, in 10 or 15 years. It's really exciting.